Hi guys, so I am going to do a live here with Trump. I know I'm late. I had a few errands to run and sorry about this being let me move it a little bit so you can see my face. Yeah, so I had something that I had to do urgently, so let's get with it. So he's already started his speech on the capture of President Maduro, leaving, changing of the regime, and I welcome you guys to this live here with me. So welcome back. I had to do a lot of changes. Finally got my desk. My mic is on a desk, and so let's start. Uh, let's see how far he's in. I'm gonna try to go back. Let's see. I think we are okay. So let's get started, guys. So we are looking at Fox News right now. President Trump is walking in to give his speech on the outcome of the capture of President Maduro for Venezuela.
Late last night, we have got to the point where literally anybody can build a fully working app without knowing how to code. This is base 44.
Skip. Okay.
Armed forces conducted an overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault. And it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II. It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolás Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history. And if you think about it, there's some other good ones like the attack on Soleimani, the attack on al-Baghdadi, and the obliteration and decimation of the Iran nuclear sites just recently in an operation known as Midnight Hammer. All perfectly executed and done. No nation in the world could achieve what America achieved yesterday, or frankly in just a short period of time. All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have. It was dark and it was deadly. But captured along with his wife, Celia Flores, both of whom now face American justice. Maduro and Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York, Jay Clayton, for their campaign of deadly narco-terrorism against the United States and its citizens. I want to thank the men and women of our military who achieved such an extraordinary success overnight with breathtaking speed, power, precision, and competence. You rarely see anything like it. You've seen some raids in this country that didn't go so well. They were an embarrassment. If you look back to Afghanistan, or if you look back to the Jimmy Carter days, they were different days. We're a respected country again, like never before. These highly trained warriors operating in collaboration with U.S. law enforcement caught them in a very ready position. They were waiting for us. They knew we had many ships out in the sea, just sort of waiting. They knew we were coming. So they were in a ready, what's called a ready position. But they were completely overwhelmed and very quickly incapacitated. If you would have seen what I saw last night, you would have been very impressed. I'm not sure that you'll ever get to see it, but it was an incredible thing to see. Not a single American service member was killed, and not a single piece of American equipment was lost. We had many helicopters, many planes, many people involved in that fight. But think of that, not one piece of military equipment was lost, not one service member was, more importantly, killed. The United States military is the strongest and most fearsome military on the planet by far. With capabilities and skills our enemies can scarcely begin to imagine. We have the best equipment anywhere in the world. There's no equipment like what we have, and you see that even if you just look at the boats. We've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by sea. 90%. Each boat kills on average, 25,000 people. We knocked out 97%. And those drugs mostly come from a place called Venezuela. We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years. So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And it has to be judicious because that's what we're all about. We want peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela, and that includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their country. It's their homeland. We can't take a chance that somebody else takes over Venezuela that doesn't have the good of the Venezuelan people in mind. And decades of that. We're not going to let that happen. We're there now, and what...
So guys, welcome to my channel. We are doing a live reaction to President Trump giving his speech on last night or this morning, regime change, the capture of President Nicolás Maduro and his wife. As he stated, they are on a ship heading towards Florida. So let's continue on, and I'll give my 2 cents at the end of this broadcast.
People don't understand, but they understand as I say this. We're there now, but we're going to stay until such time as the proper transition can take place. So we're going to stay until such time as we're going to run it essentially until such time as a proper transition can take place. As everyone knows, the oil business in Venezuela has been a bust, a total bust, for a long period of time. They were pumping almost nothing by comparison to what they could have been pumping and what could have taken place. We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country. And we are ready to stage a second and much larger attack if we need to do so. So we were prepared to do a second wave if we needed to do so. We actually assumed that a second wave would be necessary, but now it's probably not.
Second wave.
The first wave, if you'd like to call it that. The first attack was so successful, we probably don't have to do a second, but we're prepared to do a second wave, a much bigger wave, actually. This was pinpoint, but we have a much bigger wave.
I tell you, I don't want to see a second wave. I hope that this takeover would be smooth and not, no war. I don't want to see the war in Venezuela, neither in that little small island called Trinidad and Tobago. I want to see no effects of this. I want it to go smooth as possible. But I think when he says second wave, I think Maduro regime is still there, and there are things they have to weed out. They have to weed out the corrupt. So let's see what he means by second wave.
That probably won't have to do. This partnership of
We're gonna
Venezuela
pray
with the
for that
United
one.
States of America, a country that everybody wants to be involved with because of what we were able to do and accomplish, will make the people of Venezuela rich, independent, and safe. And it will also make the many, many people from Venezuela that are living in the United States extremely happy. They suffered. They suffered. So much was taken from them. They're not going to suffer anymore. The illegitimate dictator Maduro was the kingpin of a vast criminal network responsible for trafficking colossal amounts of deadly and illicit drugs into the United States. As alleged in the indictment, he personally oversaw the vicious cartel known as Cartel de las Solas, which flooded our nation with lethal poison, responsible for the deaths of countless Americans, many, many Americans, hundreds and thousands over the years of Americans died because of it. Maduro and his wife will soon face the full might of American justice and stand trial on American soil. Right now they're on a ship they'll be heading to ultimately New York, and then a decision will be made, I assume, between New York and Miami or Florida. But we have people where the overwhelming evidence of their crimes will be presented in a court of law. And I've seen it. I've seen what we have. It's both horrible and breathtaking that something like this could have been allowed to take place. For many years after his term as president of Venezuela expired, Maduro remained in power and waged a ceaseless campaign of violence, terror, and subversion against the United States of America, threatening not only our people, but the stability of the entire region. You all saw it. In addition to trafficking gigantic amounts of illegal drugs that inflicted untold suffering and human destruction all over the country, all over in particular the United States, Maduro sent savage and murderous gangs, including the bloodthirsty prison gang, Tren de Aragua, to terrorize American communities nationwide, and he did indeed. They were in Colorado. They took over apartment complexes. They cut the fingers off people if they called police. They were brutal. They're not so brutal now. And I just have to congratulate our military, Pete, and everybody, and our National Guard, because the job that they've done, whether it's in Washington, D.C., where we have a totally safe city, where it was one of the most unsafe cities anywhere in the world, frankly, and now we have no crime in Washington, D.C. We haven't had a killing. We had the terrorist attack a few weeks ago. A little bit of a different kind of a threat, but we haven't had a killing in a long period of time, 6-7 months. We used to have two, on average, 2 a week in Washington, our capital. We don't have that anymore. The restaurants are opening. Everyone's happy. They're going, they're walking their daughters, they're walking their children, their wives, they walk to restaurants. Restaurants are opening all over Washington, D.C. So I want to thank the National Guard, I want to thank our military, and I want to thank law
Okay,
enforcement.
Trump, you're very
And
long-winded,
they should do
but
it with more cities. We're doing it, as you know, and doing it in Memphis, Tennessee right now, and crime is down. Just sort of started a few weeks ago, but crime is down now 77%. And the governor of Louisiana called. Great.
guys, Trump remind me of myself. Sometimes I repeat things 10, 15 times. He repeats a lot. So he's just, let's just listen to what he has to say. So,
Person, and he certain very nice part of Louisiana, and we have done that. It was a rough section, and we have crime down. I understand it's down to almost nothing already after 2.5 weeks. New Orleans, it's down to almost nothing, and we've only been there for 2.5 weeks. Can't imagine why governors wouldn't want us to help. We also helped, as you know, in Chicago, and crime went down a little bit there. We did a very small help because we had no working ability with the governor. The governor was a disaster, and the mayor was a disaster. But it knocked down crime. But we're pulling out of there when they need us. We'll know. You'll know. You'll be writing about it. And likewise, Los Angeles, where we saved Los Angeles early on, where the head of the police department made a statement that if the federal government didn't come in, we would have lost Los Angeles. That's long after the fires. That's when they had the riots in Los Angeles. We did a great job. Got no credit for it whatsoever, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. We don't need the credit. But we'll be pulling out when they need us. They'll call, or we'll go back if we have to. We'll go back. But we did a great job in various cities. But the place that we're very proud of is Washington, D.C., because it's our nation's capital. We took it from being a crime-ridden mess to being one of the safest cities in the country. But the gangs that they sent raped, tortured, and murdered American women and children. They were in all of the cities I mentioned. Tren de Aragua.
Wow.
And they were sent by Maduro to terrorize our people, and now Maduro will never again be able to threaten an American citizen or anybody from Venezuela. There will no longer be threats. For years I've highlighted the stories of those innocent Americans whose lives were so heartlessly robbed by this Venezuelan terrorist organization. Really one of the worst. One of the worst, they say the worst. Americans like 12-year-old Jocelyn Nungary from Houston. Beautiful Jocelyn Nungary, what happened to her? They, as you know, they kidnapped, assaulted, and murdered by Tren de Aragua animals. They murdered Jocelyn and left her dead under the bridge. There was a bridge that will never be the same to so many people after seeing what happened. As I've said many times, the Maduro regime emptied out their prisons, sent their worst and most violent monsters into the United States to steal American lives. And they came from mental institutions and insane
Okay,
asylums.
here's what I'm gonna do. This is very long, so I'm gonna skip just to get caught up. Okay, so
Very importantly, the embargo on all Venezuelan oil remains in full effect.
okay,
The American
he's talking about the
armada
embargo.
remains poised in position, and the United States retains all military options until United States demands have been fully met and fully satisfied. All political and military figures in Venezuela should understand what happened to Maduro can happen to them, and it will happen to them if they aren't just, fair, even to their people. The dictator and terrorist.
You heard that warning. So he's not only there to change the regime, but who's ever going to be in that position as president of Venezuela also have to be in checked. And when I say in checked, he doesn't want the same thing happening. So he's going to make sure that that doesn't happen again. There is no communistic or socialistic values or thing. He wants everyone in Venezuela to be prosperous, successful. He doesn't want the same pattern coming back again. So Trump is willing to weed out and root out any dregs of Maduro's regime. If you listen to him closely, he's saying he's not going to put up with it, and he's not going to, um, you know, nurture, he doesn't want to come back. He doesn't want the same wheel turning over. He wants that regime eliminated, period. No roots, no ties.
Maduro is finally gone, and Venezuelan people are free. They're free again. It's been a long time for them, but they're free. America is a safer nation this morning. It's a prouder nation this morning because it didn't allow this horrible person and this country that was doing very bad things to us. It didn't allow it to happen. And the Western Hemisphere is right now a much safer place to be. So I want to thank everybody for being here. I want to thank General Raisin Kane. He's fantastic man. I've worked with a lot of generals. I worked with some I didn't like. I worked with some I didn't respect. I worked with some that just weren't good. But this guy is fantastic. I watched last night one of the most precise attacks on sovereignty. I mean, it was an attack for justice. And I'm very proud of him, and I'm very proud of our Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, who I'm going to ask to say a few words. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, can you explain how the U.S. will run Venezuela?
Well, thank you, Mr. President.
What's one of the biggest challenges facing carriers today? Managing cash flow.
So there you have it. President Trump validating the regime change, validating this whole evidence of him capturing President Nicolás Maduro. And guys, we know that a lot of things is going to happen. So let's just hear what Pete Hegseth has to say.
Such men. And I tip my hat to our chairman, Dan Raisin Kane, and all those Americans who stood watch last night. Our warriors are the elite of America, and again, President Trump has your back. No other country on planet Earth, and it's not even close, could pull this kind of operation off. And no other president has ever shown this kind of leadership, courage, and resolve. The most powerful combination the world has ever seen. As the president said, our adversaries remain on notice. America can project our will anywhere, anytime. The coordination, the stealth, the lethality, the precision, the very long arm of American justice, all on full display in the middle of the night. Nicolás Maduro had his chance, just like Iran had their chance, until they didn't and until he didn't. He effed around, and he found out. President Trump is deadly serious about stopping the flow of gangs and violence to our country. Deadly serious about stopping the flow of drugs and poison to our people. Deadly serious about getting back the oil that was stolen from us. And deadly serious about reestablishing American deterrence and dominance in the Western Hemisphere. This is about the safety, security, freedom, and prosperity of the American people. This is America first. This is peace through strength. And the United States War Department is proud to help deliver it. Welcome to 2026, and under President Trump, America is back. I'd like to welcome now our Chairman Raisin Kane, to give a few more details about the operation.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning. Last night, on the order of the President of the United States, and in support of a request from the Department of Justice, as the President said, the United States military conducted an apprehension mission in Caracas, Venezuela, to bring to justice two indicted persons, Nicolás and Cecilia Maduro. This operation, known as Operation Absolute Resolve, was discreet, precise, and conducted during the darkest hours of January 2nd, and was the culmination of months of planning and rehearsal, an operation that, frankly, only the United States military could undertake. What I'd like to do this morning is talk to you through some of the preparation and the details without compromising any of our tactics, techniques, and procedures. There is always a chance that we'll be tasked to do this type of mission again. Our interagency work began months ago and built on decades of experience of integrating complex air, ground, space, and maritime operations. While the past 2 decades have honed the skills of our special operations forces, this particular mission required every component of our joint force, with soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Guardians working in unison with our intelligence agency partners and law enforcement teammates in an unprecedented operation. We leveraged our unmatched intelligence capabilities and our years of experience in hunting terrorists, and we could not have done this mission without the incredible work by various intelligence agencies, including the CIA, NSA, and NGA. We watched, we waited, we prepared, we remained patient and professional. This mission was meticulously planned, drawing lessons from decades of missions over the last many years, many missions over these last many years. This was an audacious operation that only the United States could do. It required the utmost of precision and integration within our joint force. And the word integration does not explain the sheer complexity of such a mission. An extraction so precise it involved more than 150 aircraft launching across the Western Hemisphere in close coordination, all coming together in time and place to layer effects for a single purpose: to get an interdiction force into downtown Caracas while maintaining the element of tactical surprise. Failure of one component of this well-oiled machine would have endangered the entire mission, and failure is never an option for America's joint force. Those in the air over Caracas last night were willing to give their lives for those on the ground and in the helicopters. Let me talk a little bit about the preparation. After months of work by our intelligence teammates to find Maduro and understand how he moved, where he lived, where he traveled, what he ate, what he wore, what were his pets. In early December, our force was set pending a series of aligned events. Key was choosing the right day to minimize the potential for civilian harm and maximize the element of surprise and minimize the harm to the indicted personnel, so as the president said, they could be brought to justice. And as the president said earlier today, weather in Venezuela is always a factor this time of the year. And over the weeks through Christmas and New Year's, the men and women of the United States military sat ready, patiently waiting for the right triggers to be met.
So, guys, I'm waiting for the press to question President Trump where they ask questions. So just bear with me. And then I want to go and look at some clips where we see the jubilation of the Venezuelan people celebrating the arrest of President Maduro. So I'm excited also to go on to show you the victory. This is important. When you know that a takeover, a regime change is in the process, and if it's real and legitimate, you'll see it by the people, the reaction of the people, and that's important. So you'll see how true the people are elated. The faces of the people speaks when there's a regime change, when there's something like this is happening in Venezuela. We're going to see victory. We're going to see people celebrating on the street, dancing and singing. And this is how you know it's a good thing. If it was not, people would be sad and crying, but people are elated that this is happening. So let's just go back.
And the president to order us into action. Last night, the weather broke just enough, clearing a path that only the most skilled aviators in the world could maneuver through. Ocean, mountain, low cloud ceilings, but when tasked with a mission, this organization does not quit. At 10:46 p.m. Eastern Time last night, the President ordered the United States military to move forward with this mission. He said to us, and we appreciate it, Mr. President, good luck and Godspeed. And those words were transmitted to the entire Joint Force. Over the course of the night, aircraft began launching from 20 different bases on land and sea across the Western Hemisphere. In total, more than 150 aircraft, bombers, fighters, intelligence, reconnaissance, surveillance, rotary wing were in the air last night. Thousands and thousands of hours of experience were airborne. Our youngest crew member was 20, and our oldest crew member was 49, and there's simply no match for American military might. As the night began, the helicopters took off with the extraction force, which included law enforcement officers, and began their flight into Venezuela at 100 feet above the water. As they approached Venezuelan shores, the United States began layering different effects provided by Spacecom, Cybercom, and other members of the interagency to create a pathway. Overhead, those forces were protected by aircraft from the United States Marines, the United States Navy, the United States Air Force, and the Air National Guard. The force included F-22s, F-35s, F-18s, EA-18s, E-2s, B-1 bombers, and other support aircraft, as well as numerous remotely piloted drones. As the force began to approach Caracas,
All
the
right,
Joint
so
Air
what I'm
Command
going to do
began
is
dismantling
he's
and
just
disabling
going through the
air
logistics
defense
of
systems in Venezuela,
the
deploying weapons to
invasion.
ensure the safe passage of the helicopters into the target area. The goal of our air component is, was, and always will be to protect the helicopters and the ground force and get them to the target and get them home. As the force crossed the last point of high terrain where they'd been hiding in the clutter, we assessed that we had maintained totally the element of surprise. As the helicopter force ingressed towards the objective at low level, we arrived at Maduro's compound at 1:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 2:01 a.m. Caracas local time, and the apprehension force descended into Maduro's compound and moved with speed, precision, and discipline towards their objective, and isolated the area to ensure the safety and security of the ground force while apprehending the indicted persons. On arrival into the target area, the helicopters came under fire, and they replied with that fire with overwhelming force in self-defense. One of our aircraft was hit, but remained flyable, and as the President said earlier today, all of our aircraft came home, and that aircraft remained flyable during the rest of the mission. As the operation unfolded at the compound, our air and ground intelligence teams provided real-time updates to the ground force, ensuring those forces could safely navigate the complex environment without unnecessary risk. The force remained protected by overhead tactical aviation. Maduro and his wife, both indicted, gave up and were taken into custody by the Department of Justice, assisted by our incredible U.S. military with professionalism and precision, with no loss of U.S. life. After securing the indicted persons, the force began to prep for departure. Helicopters were called in to exfiltrate the extraction force, while fighter aircraft and remotely piloted aircraft provided overhead coverage and suppressive fire. There were multiple self-defense engagements as the force began to withdraw out of Venezuela. The force successfully exfiltrated and returned to their afloat launch bases, and the force was over the water at 3:29 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with indicted persons on board. And both Maduro and his wife were embarked aboard the USS Iwo Jima. In closing, what we've witnessed today is a powerful demonstration of America's joint force. We think, we develop, we train, we rehearse, we debrief, we rehearse again and again, not to get it right, but to ensure that we cannot get it wrong. Our jobs are to integrate combat power so when the order comes, we can deliver overwhelming force at the time and the place of our choosing against any foe anywhere in the world. I am immensely proud today of our joint force and filled with gratitude to represent them here today. There is simply no mission too difficult for these incredible professionals and the families that stand by them and support them. As we stand here this morning, our forces remain in the region at a high state of readiness, prepared to project power, defend themselves, and our interests in the region. This operation is a testament to the dedication and unwavering commitment to justice and our resolve to hold accountable those who threaten peace and stability. In closing, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude to the brave men and women who executed this mission. Their courage and tireless commitment to our nation are what makes us strong. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, and thank you, Mr. President.
Well, I don't have much to add to what you've heard now, other than the following points. Nicolás Maduro was indicted in 2020 in the United States. He is not the legitimate president of Venezuela.
And here my favorite guy, Marco Rubio. I like Marco Rubio.
That's not just us saying it. The first Trump administration, the Biden administration, the second Trump administration, none of those three recognize him. He's
That's
not
my
recognized by the European Union
guy.
and multiple countries around the world.
Marco
He is a fugitive of American justice with a
Rubio.
$50 million reward, which I guess we saved $50 million. And
Make sure.
yeah, exactly. But
Don't let anybody claim it. Deserves it, but us.
But I want to be clear about one thing. Nicolás Maduro had multiple opportunities to avoid this. He was provided multiple very, very, very generous offers and chose instead to act like a wild man, chose instead to play around. And the result is what we saw tonight. The other message here is the following. You have a guy, like many people around the world, they like to play games. You have a guy who decides he's going to invite Iran into his country, is going to, do the confiscation of American oil companies, is going to flood our country with gang members, is going to take Americans prisoner and try to hold them for hostage and trade them like he was able to do with the Biden administration. Basically likes to play games all this time and thinks nothing's going to happen. And I hope what people now understand is that we have a president. The 47th president of the United States is not a game player. When he tells you that he's going to do something, when
He's
tells
going to
you
do
he's
it.
going to address a problem, he means it. He actions it. I can tell you, I've watched this process now for 14, 15 years, been around it. Everybody talks. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. When I get there, we're going to do this, we're going to take... This is a president of action. Like, I don't understand yet how they haven't figured this out. And now, if you don't know, now you know. Because this is the way it's going to play out. And I think people need to understand that this is not a president that just talks and does letters and press conferences.
That's true.
And, if he says he's serious about something, he means it. And this is something that was a direct threat to the national interest of the United States, and the president addressed it. There's a president of peace, by the way. I told you what I just said earlier. This guy had multiple opportunities to find his way somewhere else and figure out another. He could have been living somewhere else right now, very happy, but instead he wanted to play big boy. Now, he's got other sets of problems on his hands. And but I think the message here should be:
Oh,
the president
boy,
doesn't go out
Rubio
looking
is
for people to
something
pick
else,
fights with.
yes.
He's not. Generally wants to get along with everybody.
Rubio say he wants to
He'll
play
talk
big
game
boy.
with anybody. But don't play games.
Yep.
Don't play games with this president's in office because it's not going to turn out well. And so I hope that I guess that lesson was learned last night. And,
Yep.
And we hope it will be instructive.
Rubio could not have said it better. Maduro was playing games, definitely, with Trinidad and Tobago as well. Even kidnapping the U.S. citizens that he said he kidnapped. There was someone that was kidnapped too from Trinidad and Tobago. I didn't want to cover it because I wanted not to startle the family. So, but Rubio saying this, it's just beautiful.
Mr. President.
Now here it is. We're gonna listen to the questions. This is what I've been waiting for.
Going to run Venezuela. So who's in power right now?
But we're going to be running it with a group, and we're going to make sure it's run properly. We're going to rebuild the oil infrastructure, which will cost billions of dollars. It'll be paid for by the oil companies directly. They will be reimbursed for what they're doing, but it's going to be paid. and we're going to get the oil flowing the way it should be. As you know, it was just a minor flow. It was actually a minor flow for what they had. But we're going to run it properly. And we're going to
Why
make sure the
Jennifer
people of
Lopez?
Venezuela are taken care of. We're going to make sure the people that were forced out of Venezuela by Islam are also taken care of.
Mr. President, does the U.S. running the country mean that U.S. troops will be on the ground? How will that work?
Well, you know, they always say boots on the ground. Oh, so we're not afraid of boots on the ground if we have to have. We had boots on the ground last night at a very high level, actually. We're not afraid of it. We don't mind saying it. But we're going to make sure that that country is run properly. We're not doing this in vain. This is a very dangerous attack. This is an attack that could have gone very, very badly. Could have gone very badly. We could have lost a lot of people last night. We could have lost a lot of dignity. We could have lost a lot of equipment. The equipment is less important, but we could have lost a lot. And we're going to make sure that this is proper. We're there now. We're ready to go again if we have to. We're going to run the country right. It's going to be run very judiciously, very fairly. It's going to make a lot of money. We're going to give money to the people. We're going to reimburse people that were taken advantage of. We're going to take care of everybody. It's very important. We couldn't let them get away with it. You know, they stole our oil. We built that whole industry there. And they just took it over like we were nothing. And we had a president that decided not to do anything about it. So we did something about it. We're late, but we did something about it. Yeah, please.
Can you explain the exact mechanism by which you're going to run the country? Are you going to designate a U.S. official to coordinate?
It's all being done.
Work today is broken. We're all working in too many disconnected apps, and it's killing team productivity. But for
Okay,
the first
so
time,
we
there's
are
a
going
platform
through
that
an
fixes
ad
it by
right
combining
now.
everything you need.
Just bear with me.
Projects,
I'm going to
chat.
do a
Required leadership. Venezuela has a lot of bad people in there, a lot of bad people that shouldn't be leading. We're not going to take a chance that one of those people take over for Maduro. So you can look at, and others, we have fantastic people, including people in the military. So we're going to have a group of people running it until such time as it can be put back on track, make a lot of money for the people, and give people a great way of life, and also reimbursement for people in our country.
And who you think gonna run it? I think Rubio is gonna be placed in charge of running Venezuela, also running Trinidad and Tobago, people.
Rubio would be.
You said earlier today that you weren't going to back Machado to come back and be the opposition leader in your Fox and Friends interview. And then you also mentioned the vice
course
president
not.
of Venezuela. Are you going to work with vice president of Venezuela, or how do you foresee the relationship?
Oh.
She was just sworn in, but she was, as you know, picked by Maduro. So Marco's working on that directly. Just had a conversation with her, and she's essentially willing to do what we think is necessary to make Venezuela great again. Very simple.
Mr. President, Colombian President Gustavo Petro, a couple weeks ago, he said he's got to watch his ass. And today he said he's not concerned about anything happening to him in the aftermath of this operation. So just what your message is
Well,
about
he
that.
has cocaine mills. He has factories where he makes cocaine. And yeah, I think I stick by my first statement. He's making cocaine. They're sending it into the United States. So he does have to watch his ass.
Mr. President, did you notify any members of Congress in advance?
Marco, do you want to talk about that? Because you were involved in it.
We called members of Congress immediately after. This was not the kind of mission that you can do congressional notification on. It was a trigger-based mission in which conditions had to be met night after night. We watched and monitored that for a number of days. So it's just simply not the kind of mission you can call people and say, hey, we may do this at some point in the next 15 days. But it's largely a law enforcement function. Remember, at the end of the day, at its core, this was an arrest of 2 indicted fugitives of American justice. And the Department of War supported the Department of Justice in that job. Now, there are broader policy implications here, but it's just not the kind of mission that you can pre-notify because it endangers the mission.
So Congress was not notified or alerted about this this invasion. This is getting so interesting, guys. You don't know how I'm feeling. I'm feeling like I'm on a high. I'm happy for the Venezuelan people. Also, please note what President Trump says. He's not going to turn over the regime. So, I mean, he's not going to put someone in there so quickly. It's going to take some time, and they're going to have a group of people overseeing or being, I would say, shadow government, but overseeing what's going to uh, take place in Venezuela. Let's continue on.
Lester, if I could add one thing to that. If Congress has a tendency to leak, this would not be good.
Oh, okay.
If they leaked, General, I think it would have been maybe a very different result. But I have to say, they knew we were coming at some point, you know. A lot of ships out there, they sort of knew we were coming. But Congress will leak, and we don't want leakers.
Mr. President, you were one of the only people to watch this all play out live. What was Maduro doing when the U.S. forces entered what I assume would be his home? And also, was there any point where the U.S. was considering if Maduro pushed back or resisted killing Maduro?
It could have happened. It could have happened. He was trying to get into a safe place. You know, the safe place is all steel. And he wasn't able to make it to the door because our guys were so fast. They went through the opposition so fast. And there was a lot of opposition. You know, people were wondering, do we get them by surprise? Sort of surprised, but they were waiting for something. It was a lot of opposition. There was a lot of gunfire. You saw some of it today. But he was trying to get to his safe place, which wasn't safe because we would have had the door blown up in about 47 seconds, they say on average, regardless of how thick the steel was. It was a very thick door. It was a very heavy door, but he was unable to get to that door. He made it to the door. He was unable to close it.
So where's Maduro?
Go ahead, finish.
Where is Maduro going to be in the time being right now? Do you know his exact
Well,
whereabouts?
eventually, ultimately, in the near future, he's going to be brought to New York.
And where is he going to be held? Where is he going to be held in New York? Do you know?
That's going to be up to the officials that do these things.
Mr. President, the U.S. has something of a mixed track record of ousting dictators without necessarily a plan for what comes afterwards. Did that weigh on your decision?
Well, that's when we had different presidents, but with me, that's not true. With me,
Why? Could someone tell me why they're going to bring Maduro to New York? Okay. Is that a good idea?
had a perfect track record of winning. We win a lot, and we win. If you look at Soleimani, you look at al-Baghdadi, you look at the Midnight Hammer. Midnight Hammer was incredible. Right now, you wouldn't have peace in the Middle East. We have essentially peace in the Middle East because of that. If we weren't successful with Midnight Hammer, you wouldn't have peace in the Middle East. So, with me, you've had a lot of victory. You've had only victories. You've had no losses. Yeah.
Mr. President, how long do you expect the U.S. to run Venezuela, and how soon do you want Venezuelan people to hold elections?
So I'd like to do it quickly, but it takes a period of time. You know, we're rebuilding. We have to rebuild their whole infrastructure. The infrastructure is rotted. It's actually very dangerous. It's blow-up territory. Oil is very dangerous. It's a very dangerous thing to take out of the ground. It can kill a lot of people. It has killed a lot of people doing just that. The infrastructure is old. It's rotted. Much of it is stuff that we put there 25 years ago, and we're going to be replacing it. And we're going to take a lot of money out so that we can take care of the country.
Are you saying that Secretary Rubio and
Mr. President, China, Russia, and Iran have interests in Venezuela. How does this operation affect your relationship?
That's a good question. Very good question.
Russia, when we get things straightened out. But in terms of other countries that want oil, we're in the oil business. We're going to sell it to them. We're not going to say we're not going to get it. In other words, we'll be selling oil probably in much larger doses because they couldn't produce very much because their infrastructure was so bad. So we'll be selling large amounts of oil to other countries, many of whom are using it now, but I would say many more will come.
Are you saying that, Mr. President, are you saying that,
Mr. President, thank you. What is your message to the people of Venezuela today? Of course, the civilian population specifically, they have a lot of questions. What is your message to the people of Venezuela?
You're going to have peace, justice. You're going to have some of the riches that you should have had for a long period of time was stolen from you. But you're going to have peace and you're going to have safety. You're going to have justice. You're going to have a country. You're going to have a real country. You're going to have potentially a great country. You know, if you go back 20 years, maybe even a little longer ago, that was a great country, and they destroyed it. Remember I said that if we lose this election, the United States will be Venezuela on steroids. That's what would have happened. Had we lost the election, the 2024 election, we suffered so badly. When you look at the border from 2020, what they did, what Joe Biden administration did to our country should never be forgotten. But if we had to go through another year of that, we would be exactly where Venezuela was in terms. I used to say, if they win, we're going to be Venezuela on steroids, and that's what would have happened.
President, thank you. Are you saying that Secretary Hegseth and Rubio are going to be running Venezuela, and will you be sending in U.S. military
They're going
troops
to be
to
a team
provide?
that's working with the people of Venezuela to make sure that we have Venezuela right. Because for us to just leave, who's going to take over?
I told you Rubio is going to be running Venezuela. Wasn't I correct? I know Rubio is going to be down in Venezuela often, and also in TT.
I mean, there is nobody to take over. You have a vice president who's been appointed by Maduro, and right now she's the vice president, and she's, I guess, the president. She was sworn in as president just a little while ago. She had a long conversation with Marco, and she said, we'll do whatever you need. I think she was quite gracious, but she really doesn't have a choice. We're going to have this done right. We're not going to just do this with Maduro, then leave like everybody else, leave and say, let it go to hell. If we just left, it has zero chance of ever coming back. We'll run it properly. We'll run it professionally. We'll have the
told you
greatest
guys
companies
so.
in the world going in
Rubio.
billions of dollars and take out money.
Rubio is going to be moving to Venezuela.
The biggest beneficiary are going to be the people of Venezuela. And also, I can't stress this strongly enough, the people that got thrown out of Venezuela.
Trinidad, all you have a good next door neighbor. Oh my God, oi. True, Trini.
Looking for an easier way to get that LLC next to your business name? Say hello to Taylor Brand.
Trini, all you in Tantana. Oh my God, look bacchanal here now. Oh my God, I told you so. Marco Rubio is going to be there as often as could be. Trump says a team, but we know Marco is going to be there. And Trinidad, all you have to watch all yourself, because all you'll be watched. The government is going to be watched so meticulously, and that's in a good sense. Yeah. So true colors are going to be showing, and Marco is going to be watching. I tell ya, Marco Rubio, Marco
Just go to
Polo.
their site, enter your LLC state, choose your...
They're very protected. The people of and we let them know that you better not touch one of them.
Are you concerned that bad elements of the Maduro regime will remain in place?
Well, we know who they are. We're on them, and they're acting much differently now than they would have acted 2 days ago. Okay, wait, behind you, please.
Mr. President, why is running a country in South America America first?
Well,
Yes.
I think it is because we want to surround ourselves with good neighbors. We want to
Yep.
surround ourselves with stability.
All about the neighborhood people. The backyard, the neighborhood. We want to make sure, President Trump wants to make sure that everybody is watched and everybody the Western Hemisphere is protected.
Ourselves with energy. We have tremendous energy in that country. It's very important that we protect it. We need that for ourselves. We need that for the world. And we want to make sure we can protect it. Yes, sir. Please, go ahead.
Is there a message here for Cuba and Diaz Canel?
Well, Cuba's an interesting case. Cuba is, not doing very well right now. That system has not been a very good one for Cuba. The people there have suffered for many, many years. And I think Cuba is going to be something we'll end up talking about because Cuba is a failing nation right now.
Yes, it
very
is.
badly failing nation. And we want to help the people. It's very similar in the sense that we want to help the people in Cuba, but we want to also help the people that were forced out of Cuba and living in this country. Do you want to say something about that, Marco, please?
Well,
Oh.
I just gave you a statement a few minutes ago about when the president speaks, you should take him seriously. So suffice it to say, Cuba is a disaster. It's run by incompetent, senile men, and in some cases, not senile but incompetent nonetheless. They have no economy. It's in total collapse. And by the way, they
Marco say Cuba is run by incompetent, senile male. I get it. Do you?
All the guards that helped protect Maduro, this is well known, their whole spy agency, all that were full of Cubans. I mean, it's amazing. This poor island took over Venezuela in some cases. One of the biggest problems the Venezuelans have is they have to declare independence from Cuba. They tried to basically colonize it from a security standpoint. So,
yes.
Yeah, look, if I lived in Havana and I was in the government, I'd be concerned, at least a little bit. Well, the president already announced a week ago that anything that's sanctioned oil, it's not going to be allowed to get there. So that's an egregious.
The answer is yes.
Mr. President,
yes.
is the U.S. aware of the location of opposition leader Machado, and have you been in contact with her?
No, we haven't.
Mr. President, on Monday.
I think it would be very tough for her to be the leader. She doesn't have the support within, or the respect within the country. She's a very nice woman, but she doesn't have the respect.
Mr. President, is it possible that the U.S. ends up administrating Venezuela for years?
Well, it won't cost us anything because the money coming out of the ground is very substantial, so it's not going to cost us anything. We will. Well, we want safety there. We want to be surrounded by countries that aren't housing all of our enemies all over the world. That's what was happening, and you don't want to have that. But we're going to be rebuilding, and we're not spending money.
Just 1 second, guys. I'll be back.
We're going to take back the oil that, frankly, we should have taken back a long time ago. A lot of money is coming out of the ground. We're going to get reimbursed for all of that. We're going to get reimbursed for everything that we spend. So it's going to be a very important. This is a very big evening that took place last night. We have to be surrounded by safe, secure countries, and we also have to have energy. Very important. We have to have energy that's real energy, not where they're getting 4% and 5% of the energy out of the ground. You take a look. It was such a disaster. So what's going to happen with Venezuela, I think, over the next period of a year, is going to be a great thing, and the people of Venezuela will be the biggest beneficiaries.
Mr. President, on Monday, U.S. military.
Mr. President, thank you. What did you last speak to Maduro about when you spoke? And is the
Well, I don't want to get into the
Venezuela?
conversations, but I did have conversations with him, and I said, you got to surrender. And I actually thought he was pretty close to doing so, but now he wished he did, yeah.
Mr. President,
It's going to be a great thing, and the people of Venezuela will be the biggest beneficiaries.
U.S. military.
What did you last speak to Maduro about?
I endorsed, as you know, the president, the man who won in Honduras. I endorsed the man who won in Chile. I endorsed the man who won in Argentina. And we are doing very well with that whole group. What the man that I pardoned was, if you could equate it to us, he was treated like the Biden administration treated a man named Trump. That didn't work out too well for them. This was a man who was persecuted very unfairly. He was the head of the country. He was persecuted very unfairly. And there are a number of them. And we felt that it was a very unfair situation that happened to him. He's also a party member of the man who won. So obviously the people liked what I did. And one of the reasons that was done is because of the fact that the party in power felt very strongly that that man was treated very badly. I studied it very quickly, and then I studied it in great detail. I went to a lot of the people standing behind me, and they felt that that man was persecuted and treated very badly. That's why I gave him a pardon.
Mr. President, you referenced boots on the ground earlier. Can you just sort of button this up? Do you envision the U.S. military having a presence in Venezuela as the U.S. runs that
Well,
country?
no, we're going to have a presence in Venezuela as it pertains to oil, because we have to have, we're sending our expertise in. So you may need something, not very much. But no, we're going to be taking out a tremendous amount of...
Build a website you love with Wix.
Were your words?
So guys, you know what that means. The dragon deal is on. That means money is going to be flowing in TT. So this is something I knew was going to happen, definitely. No ifs, ands, or buts. Revelation from the Holy Ghost. I have to say, God did show me that this is going to be something that was going to happen. Whether Maduro like it or didn't like it, it was incepted. It was foreseen. You know, that means Trinidad things are going to get better, and I hope the wealth pass equally to all races and not only to one. You know, for every creed and race finds an equal place, and may God bless TT. So this is something that I knew was going to happen. I actually spoke to my aunt and I said, listen, Trump is going to give a New Year invasion. And so said, so done. An invasion has happened and God is leading. Our prayers are being answered. The Venezuelan prayers are being answered. TT prayers are being answered. And the dragon gas deal is going to happen. I also would let anybody who think that they have the authority to go back and make drug affiliations or with the past regime of Venezuela and think that they have one up. They have another thing coming. I know that Secretary Rubio would be in Venezuela as often as possible. And as you heard, Trump is not going to let go of what is going to happen in Venezuela shortly. There's a second stage, he said. There's a second stage that's going to happen. So the first stage was getting Maduro arrested. And he said there's going to be a second stage to this invasion. So be aware. And also Trinidad government, you have a lot. You have a lot on the table. You're going to be watched and scrutinized as well. So don't think that, yes, we have Kamala in there and everything is going to be hunky-dory. There's a lot of things coming in. Also, we are being watched. So all those little islands, the Manos Islands, the little islands off of Port of Spain, that point, it's going to be watched. And yeah, so there's a new sheriff in town and his name is Donald Trump. He is taking over the southern part of the Americas, Venezuela. And so all those whose hands are dirty is going to be cleaned or washed. Let's take a look. Let's continue on.
Create your brand, your opportunity, your breakthrough. Feeling a vibe?
So this is about to end. So
Thank you all very much. Thank you. Do you have one? Yes, please. You were so nice before. I'm going to give you the final question. Go
Thank
ahead.
you, Mr.
Unless it's a bad question, in
It's
which
about
case
Putin.
I'll go one. It's about who?
It's about Putin, if you want.
About Putin. Well, it's
Okay.
always nice
You had
to
a
talk
phone.
about Putin.
You had a phone call with him on Monday. Did he talk at all about Maduro? Did y'all talk about this?
No, we didn't.
And
We
then-
never spoke about Maduro.
Are you mad at him right now? I mean, there's this
I'm not
intelligence.
thrilled with Putin. I'm not thrilled with Putin. He's killing too many people.
There was that
I
intelligence.
thought that would be so. I settled 8 1/4 war. You know what the 1/4 was? Thailand and Cambodia. I did it again. They broke out. and I did it in about 5 hours, and I settled it. I'm giving myself 1 quarter, so I'm up to now 8 1/4. In other words, I settled the war, but then they broke out. They had a pretty bad breakout over the last 4 days. I got them to go back to peace.
Let's see what Putin has to
So I only
say.
give 1/4. I thought the easiest one would be, one of the easier ones would be Russia, Ukraine. It's not, and they both have done some pretty bad things. And look, that's Biden's war. That's not my war. But I want to stop the lives. Did you see where last month 30,000? It was 27,000 the month before. 30,000, mostly soldiers, were killed this last month. 30,000. I want to stop that. You know, I got NATO to pay 5% instead of the 2% that they weren't paying. They weren't paying 2, now they pay 5.
Okay, so I'm going to stop here, and I just want to just show a part of the elation of the Venezuelan people and how elated they are. Okay, so just bear with me for a while. So peeps, if you have anything to say, anything you want to add, please feel free. I'm not judgmental, but I do love President Trump. I love him, love him, love him, love him, love him. And here we go. I'm going to actually show you a little clip from Florida. Oh, just 1 second. So this is ended.
What if I could build an app that works my way with Base 44? My work moves fast. My tasks, priorities, and deadlines change every day. But today, I can finally build an app that adapts to me, tailored to my workflows, data, and my team's needs. Every challenge is unique. I want a tool that brings together calculations, automations, insights,
Venezuelan
all of
President
it
Nicolás Maduro
into
and
one
his
clear
wife
view,
have been captured
accessible
by
exactly
United
where I need
States
it. What else can I add? I set an AI partner that understands how we operate.
Just 1 second,
Generating
people.
content that sounds like me. Handling routine tasks to my standards.
Okay, so sorry about that. I just wanted to show what's going on and the elation of the Venezuelan people. So just stick with me for a bit, and then I'm going to come off of this.
forces. And right now, the vice president of Venezuela is demanding proof of life. Now, the Venezuelan government says it does not know where Maduro is, and this follows airstrikes across the country overnight. So I want to give you a live look right now in Caracas. People there, they are in the streets. You see them standing there. They are taking video. They're trying to figure out what is going on as the country is in flux. We have heard people chanting that you will not take Maduro away from us. We want to go live now here in South Florida to our own reporter within the Venezuelan community, which the chants here, Steve, are very different than what they are in Venezuela.
Absolutely. Even though there's been a shelter-in-place order here in the United States, people here in Doral have just been jubilant here. The Venezuelan community has been coming out as the sun has been rising here, right side of El Arepazo here in Doral. I want to step out so you can see. Everyone here has just filled this entire gas station here. They've been singing, they've been dancing, they've been chanting freedom. They've been singing the U.S. national anthem, the Venezuelan national anthem. For many of the people we've spoken to here, this is a day that's going to go down in history for the Venezuelan community, essentially a liberation day for them, because many of the people here, this goes through generations, as we've talked about. There are people that have had to live through the Hugo Chavez and then Nicolás Maduro, and then with the election that happened in Venezuela. And so many people here are really just sinking in the fact that Nicolás Maduro has been removed from Venezuela, and they're hoping that the country can move forward and even just start that journey towards becoming more of a democracy. So here people have just been singing, trying to keep a positive mind, thinking that right now what matters the most to them is that Nicolás Maduro has been removed from Venezuela. And again, people say this is not an act of war, but an act of freedom. Here's Here's what one demonstrator told us earlier this morning. Did you feel this was the only way to get him out?
100%. 100%, yes. He will not leave. He's not the real president of Venezuela. No, it's not an act of war. It's an act of freedom.
Have you ever wondered how the world's currencies are traded? The foreign exchange market, also known as the forex market, is the largest and most liquid financial.
Tears. They feel that this is a historic day where Venezuela can move forward and get, again, more towards a democracy here. So we are going to be keeping you up to date here throughout the morning here. There are people.
Okay, so that's one. I'm going to show you another one. Just bear with me for a second while I put it up. And this is where you see the people celebrating the arrest of President Maduro. And these are Venezuelan, okay? These are Venezuelan celebrating. This is in Peru. This is in Peru. I love Venezuela. Now these are immigrants.
Venezuela. Al fin, señor, gracias. Gracias, amigo.
Por fin, bendice a Dios.
Spain. Viva Venezuela.
Los memes de nuestra
Venezuela.
felicidad.
Marco.
Atención, noticia. Este personaje.
Chile. Guys, you see that? I am so happy for Venezuela. You don't know how happy I am for Venezuela. Argentina.
Vamos, vamos.
Los venezolanos, reuniendo a algunos venezolanos que por supuesto quisieron venir y otros que ya estaban.
Luego de agosto.
Okay, so that was the New York Post giving some snippets from Latin America or South America. We saw Spain, Argentina. Well, Spain is not a part of South America. Argentina, Peru, and I'm not sure about Colombia. But that was very interesting to let you guys know that the immigrants that migrated from Venezuela because of hardship, because of drug smuggling, trafficking, human trafficking, and inflation, economic collapse. All these things do show that the people are happy, they are elated, and they want to see Venezuela back how it was before. And Venezuela, as a child, to me, was important to go visit Caracas, Venezuela, because it was it was like a big city, just as beautiful, if more beautiful than New York itself. There are a lot of beautiful buildings, a lot of beautiful scenic views, um, very beautiful place. So to have Venezuela come back how it was, in that beauty, in that economic sense, is, I think, a, a lot of people have been waiting for. And this is a welcome change. And I want to say thank you for sticking around with me, for viewing my channel. This was a reaction video to President Trump um, capture speech of President Maduro. Maduro. And always remember to like, share, and subscribe. And thank God for Venezuela. Thank God for the change of regime. Thank God for blessing Venezuela and also protecting Trinidad and Tobago from any sort of, how should I say, back fight back, or invasion or any sort of war remnants. So God bless Trinidad and Tobago. God bless Venezuela. God bless President Trump. God bless America. In Jesus' name, amen. If God be for you, who could be against you? Stop recording. Bye.